Hey there, this is John Barton from JB Cases. How y'all doing? So I'm going to make a real quick video here about jumping, okay? Jump cues. Got a little bit of a rant here. For some of you guys out there who follow some of the billiards forums, you'll notice that a topic comes up quite a lot, and it's jump cues. A lot of people say jump cues should be banned. Why this is still a topic, 25, 30 years after the cues were introduced is a mystery to me. But I'll go through some of the arguments that people have made. So apparently there seems to be this idea that if you use a jump cue to jump a ball, then you're not a man, or you're not a real player, or whatever. Some people think the jump shot itself should be banned and people should just have to kick balls. So just to elaborate real quick, in most of the pool games that we play, we have a one foul ball in hand rule. So just for those of you who don't know, I think just about every league player knows this. But if the one ball is my object ball and I have to hit it, or if I don't hit the ball, then the opponent gets to take ball in hand anywhere on the table. So he can, in the old days, if there was a foul, if the ball fell down or something, you shoot from the kitchen back here, right? So you could only place the ball in here and then shoot down table. Well, now if you make a foul in most rule sets, you get to start out wherever you want on the pool table. So obviously, this makes it very easy for players to play it safe. So if a guy's got one ball left, like this or whatever, then it's real easy to just play it safe like that and hide him. And the penalty, of course, of not hitting that ball and hitting a rail is ball in hand anywhere on the table. So basically, now you're going to have to kick the ball, and when kicking it here, you have a decent chance to make it, depending on where the ball, or to hit it where the ball's at, but you have very little chance to make the ball, depending on where the kick is, of course. So obviously, if the one is like here, then you have a good chance of kicking it and making it. But if it's like out here somewhere, you don't have a real good chance of making the one ball. So you can hit the ball, and then the cue ball is going to go wherever it goes, but it's probably going to give your opponent a decent shot. So in other words, most of the time you have to get lucky, unless you're a really, really good kicker, to be able to kick it, hit a rail, and get somewhat safe, in a shot like this, for example. Kicking is a skill that every player in the modern game, in one foul rules, needs to develop. Obviously, there's going to be, if you put it like this, there's no jump shot right there. So the thing with the jump cue is it was developed and gained popularity after the rules changed from two foul shootout in 9-ball, which was basically like this. Like if you're playing 9-ball and I'm hooked, then in the old days I could just go I could say push, just go like that. Now, the incoming player can see the ball, but he can decide whether he wants to give me the shot back or he wants to take the shot. So if he gives me the shot back and then I foul, let's say I try to make it and I scratch, then the other player would have ball in hand. I would have ball in hand, the incoming player. And I would be able to start anywhere I want. Well, Texas Express, what they did is they changed the rules to one foul ball in hand. So that means now when I hide it here, I have to hit this ball immediately, or I'm gonna give up ball in hand. So I don't get a chance to roll out to here. So the old rules were such that, okay, let's say I rolled out to here, right? Something like this, and the guy says, I'll take it. it does him no good to shoot a safety, because what he's going to do is, if he plays safe here and the cue ball here, what am I going to do? I'm just going to roll out again like that, and I'll say, do you want the shot or not? And we do it again. This made the game sometimes way slower when players would dance around like this. So obviously, Texas Express Group, they said, we have to speed this up or we'll never get through a tournament. And that's how they came up with one foul ball in hand. They said, look, okay, we're just going to do it like this. We're eliminating the rollout. The only time you get to roll out now is after the break. So all of you are familiar with the push out after the break, right? That used to be for every shot. So you can imagine how that went. Well, okay. So anyway, Texas Express Group, sure some of you have heard of the McDermott Tour. That was originally the Texas Express Tour. Anyway, they had tournaments all over the country. So they made the rule so they could get a tournament done in a weekend of one foul ball in hand. Well, obviously this changes the game quite a bit, because now doing that becomes much more powerful and much higher penalty for not hitting the ball here. Because before, you could try to hit it, you don't hit it, that's one foul. The guy says, okay, I'll take the shot, or you take the shot, but if you miss the second shot or you foul on the second one, then it's ball in hand. Now it's just one foul, ball in hand, that's it. Make one foul, you give the guy ball in hand. Well, what did this do to the game? It made it where people doing stuff like this, just simply hiding the ball, made it super tough. Okay. Then you get guys come over like Efren Reyes and these guys who've been kicking the ball all their lives, and they started to show everybody a much higher level, a much higher degree of kicking skills. Because honestly, in two foul rollout, people didn't develop their kicking skills here. They didn't need to. If you got hooked, you just rolled out. So we started developing better kicking skills. But along with that, jump cues, which had been around since the 70s, different jump cues and different variations, jump cues started to get way more popular because now people needed a way to be able to get directly to the ball, not just kicking. Sometimes a kick really isn't there, so if something like this, maybe there's no kick there. Maybe something like that where there's no good kick. Say a guy's got something like that. Now there's no good kick here for him. So the jump becomes a better option. I mean, there's a lot of different ways. We can argue the different ways. So I can put this ball up 100 different positions where the jump makes more sense than the kick. And then I can put it up in another 100 positions where the kick makes more sense than the jump. So basically, both of these methods of shooting the ball, kicking or jumping, are different aspects of the game that need to be mastered to be able to play one foul ball games, 8 ball, 9 ball, wherever it is that one foul results in ball in hand anywhere on the table. That's where you need to know how to kick and you need to know how to jump. Okay, so now we come to the jump cue itself. So, back in the day, jumping itself was something that people did. Like they would do this. They would push out to a jump shot like this. Like say they would do this. They'd push out like that with say a half a ball, and that's what they would then dare somebody to jump. Well, there were some good players who could jump really well. They had a good body style and they had a cue, not necessarily built for that, but it just so happened that whatever cue they were using lent itself well to jumping. Now, other cues do not lend themselves. I'm talking about full cues. do not lend themselves well to jumping. So you take a guy that's a good jumper like this with a full cue, and you take someone else's cue and you hand it to him, then he looks like he doesn't know how to jump at all. The reason being is because not all cues are created equal for the task of jumping. And you guys know this, not all cues draw the same, not all cues spin the ball the same, not all cues masse the same. So, and each person has to find their own preference and their own balance. But as far as jumping goes, the difference is dramatic. Some cues, few cues are really well built for jumping because of the way the taper is on the shaft or, whatever. Other cues, most cues, are terrible for jumping. So, in response to this, several people started developing specialized jump cues that were just perfect for jumping. So, people would use shafts, and I don't even honestly know why shafts just went out of vogue, because actually shaft jumping is pretty good, but I think it's because it's so light. But people would use just a shaft to jump. See, even that's not that easy, even though I'm an experienced jumper. See, it's real tough. This is a magnetic cue ball, by the way, which is a whole other problem. Here, let me grab this ball and see if I can do it. See, even with a shaft, this has got a super soft tip on it. So anyway, shaft jumping was a thing, so people were doing that, but as you can see, it's inconsistent. So people started developing other cues to make the act of jumping easier. So basically engineered just for jumping. So I'm going to skip ahead. There was a couple iterations of different things, but I'm going to skip ahead to the modern jump cue, which is essentially a very hard shaft, stiff shaft, a phenolic tip, and lightweight in the back here. So, and most of them nowadays have 3 sections, so you have a little bit longer section, and you have a section here that's about 12 inches. The advantage to these jump cues is, because of the very hard tip and the lightweight, you get a good combination of stiffness, so the cue doesn't compress the tip into the table. And anyway, when these started to hit the market, they became very popular very quickly because of the performance of them. They do make the act of jumping easier. Now I'll show you that. So it's just a very light touch, and you'll see how well it jumps. And I didn't even hit that hard. So if I went over here and I grabbed the heavier magnetic ball with the same shot, you'll see that I don't get as much lift. That's a whole other issue. So I'll explain that in a moment. But with this one, you see how easy that is? Now, when I say easy, I mean easy like this. It's just as easy to do that with the jump cue as it is to do this with a regular cue. That takes no effort at all. It says, you teach a guy, hit the ball low, it'll draw back. That's it. But does being able to do that, to spin the ball, does that make me Mike Massey? We both spin the ball. Chalk, for example, is what allows me to be able to add side spin to the ball. So with chalk, I can spin the ball around the table like this. I can make it spin around. Let me get that other ball so you can see it better. With chalk, I can do this. I can come way down here. I can go around. I can masse. So without chalk, you cannot do this. You cannot make that ball curve around. But I think we all agree that just because I have a cube of chalk and a pool cue, that doesn't mean that I can stroke the ball like Mike Massey or any world champion or anything like that. What it does mean is that I have the possibility to do that. So Whereas without chalk, spinning the ball around the table, doing massé shots, doing just average spin shots is an almost impossibility for myself and for Mike Massey and for any world champion. With chalk, all shots with spin become possible. Almost all shots. And the range of those shots which I can perform then depends solely on my own acquired skill through practice. I'm not held back by the equipment. Okay? This plus this is all I need to be able to play like Mike Massey. If I want to put in the same thousands and thousands of hours that Mike Massey has put in to acquire that level of skill that he has. If I don't, then this plus this only says you could do it if you were willing to put in the time. But without it, you'll only be as good as what you can do or what you can accidentally do. So accidentally, once in a while, accidentally, I can do a super draw like Mike Massey. But if I had to bet my life on it, doing it 5 times in a row, I couldn't. But I would gladly bet my life on Mike Massey being able to do it 5 times in a row. So I hope that makes sense. So now we come back to the jump cue. All the jump cue is a tool just like chalk. It's an equalizer. It opens up a whole wide range of shots, just like chalk does, and then it makes it where every person with a minimum of skill can make the ball hop over the other ball. But where it gets interesting is, what happens after the ball lands? How much control is there? So with a jump cue, with a modern jump cue, you can actually not only hop the ball, but you can spin the cue ball as well. So that means that you can jump with spin. You can follow, you can draw, you can do everything that you can do with a regular pool cue, to a more limited degree because of the hardness of the tip, but still with a much wider range. You can do everything that you can do with a regular pool shot with the addition of jumping over a ball. So if I want to jump this ball in right here, if I want to jump this ball in the 14, for example, then I have to calculate everything that I would normally have to calculate if the 15 weren't there. So if the 15's not there, I got to calculate my aim, I got to calculate my speed and my spin if I want to add spin, and then take the shot. Now, let's add a ball. Well, how is this any less complex than this? It's not. So it takes more skill. It takes more skill to jump this ball and make the 14 than it does, of course, when the 15's not in the way. I think we can all agree on that. Now, I bet you guys are wondering, is this guy ever going to do a jump shot? Well, let's see how good I am. This is a small window in here, right? So if I tell someone to jump this and they've just learned to jump, it's going to be, oh no. Oh, that was terrible. Damn. Okay, sorry. That's one of my good Gilbert shafts right there, so not happy about that. Anyway, if I tell somebody to jump this in who's just learned to jump so they can make the ball hop, they're very unlikely to be able to jump even this simple shot in consistently. Because it looks simple, it looks easy, but it's actually not. You have a very small window in here to control the cue ball when it lands. So now me, in the past, I was selling these cues called bungee jumpers, and with the bungee jumper, I got pretty good at it. But even as good as I got, I was still nowhere near as good as the players who were already better players than me, who decided they wanted to learn how to jump. Once they learned how to jump, it was all over. They had way more control than me, you know? Even though I probably put in more hours than they did. But because they were already better, they already had better knowledge, better stroke, you know, better ideas of speed and spin and everything else, they just shot way past me, because that's how it works. You know, if you a good hammer does not make a lousy carpenter into a better carpenter. It just gives a lousy hammer a better tool, right? And a good carpenter with a good hammer, you know, he's just going to work that much better. So anyway, but I did learn enough, you know, to be able to know what to do here, right? So I want to land my ball right about in here, and I want to make the 14, and I want to hopefully stop the cue ball right about where the 14 is. So I learned enough to understand speed and trajectory and angle. So there we go. Now you'll notice that my ball still rolled farther than I wanted to, but that was a controlled jump shot. Now if I'll spend a little time practicing, if I would spend, you know, some time practicing and getting back in the swing of things here with the jump cue, then I'm pretty sure that I could stop that ball right there. Now you'll notice right there it still went too far. Let me chalk it up. Now watch this. And these are simple shots, by the way. Can't believe I've got 21 minutes on this already. Well, one thing that I'm not known for is brevity. Okay, now I'm going to try real hard to stop it. Okay, so you'll notice that I did get the cue ball. It was off angle, so it went off to the side, so I didn't make the shot, but it did not follow. So I actually put bottom English on it. I'll do it again. There we go, and I even drew it back. So, one thing that you can see though is that the jump shot itself, even a simple straight-in shot like this, is not predictably easy. Okay? It's not so easy where if you have a shot like this and you have a decent player, you know, if you have a player my speed, this is like a 10 out of 10 shot right here. 10 out of 10. Nobody in the pool room is going to bet against me on this shot. Everyone expects me to make it. So if I miss it, it's a huge surprise, right? But even as good as I am with the jump cue, people will still bet against me on this because they know that even a good player has a hard time controlling this shot. So this is not a 10 for 10 shot right here. Now, for me right now, this might be a 3, 4, 5 for 10, 5 out of 10, maybe 50%. For somebody better than me, you know, it might be a 7 or 8 out of 10. So it's not like that it's so difficult that it can't be made most of the time, but it won't be made all of the time, even for the best player in the world, okay? That's just the way it is. And that is something that speaks to the complexity of the shot, even if you have a good tool like a jump cue. That's the whole point. The cue itself, guys, does not take the shot. It doesn't. And it doesn't hurt the table either. It doesn't harm the table. It doesn't hurt the table. And especially, I did some slow motion earlier, which I'll try to incorporate on one of these videos. But most of the time, the cue doesn't even touch the table. So the cue tip on this shot here does not touch the table. Watch. The cue tip is above the table here. It got nowhere near the table. I'll show you that again. See that? Nowhere near the table. So these arguments that folks make out there about, oh, the jump cue it's ruining the game, it's destroying the classic beauty of the game, or these are pogo sticks and they should be banned. Well, if you think that, then call for banning chalk. Call for banning tips. Because there's every tip company out there advertises that their tip is the best, right? With their tip, you're going to get more draw, you're going to get more spin, you got more control, more accuracy, right? Then you go to shafts, right? If you play with this shaft, you've got more accuracy, you've got more control, you got more spin, you're going to be better. Well, if that stuff's true, then, or if it's, true to a significant degree, then that means that if I'm an otherwise equal player to you, and you have a $200 shaft that actually truly does give you more spin, give you more accuracy, give you more of whatever it is that they advertise, and I don't have that $200 shaft, then I can't be equal to you. I cannot play as good as you. If we both play our very best, I am going to be hampered by my equipment, where you're going to have an advantage. But the truth is that you don't believe that, do you? I mean, a lot of us, we understand that some of these products work somewhat like they're advertised to work. Put them on a machine, they may measure out better, but we all understand that no matter how good the cue is, it does not take the shot. We know that. So the player is the one ultimately responsible for what happens on the table. Same thing with the jump cue. All the jump cue does is make the shot possible. It's the player that makes the shot actually happen. So I know that every one of you out there has seen this. I know that every one of you has seen a guy get up here with a jump cue, and do this. Not jump it, right? I know that every one of you has seen a guy do this. This is going to sound horrible, but I'm going to jump this right off the table. Here, trying to make this ball. You've all seen people do this. Lovely. Right? If jumping is so easy, why do they do that? Why does that happen? How come players with a jump cue don't make the jump shot? How come players jump the ball off the table? The reason is because they don't have the right amount of skill to use the tool properly. That's it. Now let's talk about kick shots for a moment. Okay? So, people say, well, kicking is harder than jumping. So, people only buy jump cues because they don't want to have to learn how to kick. Okay, let's talk about that. There are literally dozens and dozens and dozens of ways to learn how to kick. So, for example, and I show people this all the time in league. I got players been playing league for 20 years. They don't know how to do this, what I'm going to show you right now. So let's say, for example, I want to hit the 14, right? This is called double the distance. It was shown to me by Jimmy Reed in 1994, I think. You take the distance, this is where I want to hit, right? You go to the rail, you double that distance, and then you come back to the cue ball. Okay? That's it. So you come back to the cue ball, you shoot the shot. That's it. It works everywhere. One rail kicks, no problem. So if all I want to do is hit the ball, I've got this very simple system to teach me where to hit. Not a problem. Now, if I want to be more accurate with it, then I've got to learn the nuance. I've got to learn how to read the table if there's moisture or whatever, or if I need to spin it a little bit more. But that very simple kicking system right there is easily available all over the internet, out there in books. It's easy to find. Now, what about two-rail kicks? Dr. Q teaches two-rail kicks in super easy. Okay? Let me see if I can remember how to do it. This is my target right here. Right? So I want to go, how do I want to do this? Let's see. Okay, here we go. See, I don't even remember how to do it. Let me see if I can remember how to do it. So go here. Hell, I don't even remember how to do it. Let's just see if I can do it by feel. See, I can't do it by feel. I have to go back and look at the how the two-rail kicking system that he has. Let me see. Target to here. Halfway. How did he do that? Halfway, then to the pocket, and parallel over. There we go. Nope. Okay, I got it. I got it. Watch. Here's how it goes. So let's say I want to hit the one ball here, right? Halfway. Go there to the pocket. Parallel over. Don't hit it. So anyway, I'm not doing myself any favors here with this, but I can look this up on YouTube in 5 minutes. I can look this up on YouTube in 5 minutes, and there's a really simple way to kick this ball. Just trying to figure out what it is. Halfway. Nope. Maybe it's that way and halfway. I think that's it. That's not it either. I don't remember how to kick the ball. Let's see. I think it's to the target. Maybe it's there. There we go. Let's see if that works. There it is. Okay, look. Sorry I floundered for a moment there. So if we go halfway between these two balls, right there, go that to the rail, and then you parallel over right here. That's where your kick is. So that works anywhere in here. Anywhere in here. You go halfway, go right there. Okay, your stick's right there, right? Keep it up, parallel over. Doesn't work. There we go. And you'll kick the ball. Every time. Two rails. Halfway, right? About halfway to the pocket. Parallel over. Do it again. See, I don't like this because I know that I'm kind of rambling here, but I don't like this because it's guessing between here and here. I'm not even completely sure that I'm right here. Kind of fudged that one a little bit. But the point I'm making here is if you want to learn to kick, there are easily available systems out there to learn to kick. Not a problem. You don't even have to pay for it. So kicking is also an acquired skill. Any player who buys a pool cue, a jump cue, because he doesn't want to learn to kick is a fool. Okay, so all you guys out there that are buying pool cues because you don't want to learn to kick, you're fools. If a guy leaves you this, I guarantee you that you're not shooting this shot, you're not jumping this in, okay? Unless you have spent immense amounts of hours learning how to do this shot, you are not jumping this ball in from here. And I can tell you this from my own experience, even if you have spent a lot of time on this, that shot right there is still going to be inconsistent even with a jump cue. So, from here, what I would want to learn is how to kick it. double the distance. Got close. Don't second guess myself. And if I wanted to be even more on that, then I would measure it. There we go. So you have to learn how to kick and how to jump. Both of these are aspects of the modern game. Using a jump cue, where did I put that jump cue? Using a jump cue doesn't make you any less of a player. All it does is all it means is that you're using tools that are available for the modern game under the modern rules as it's played. So anybody that tries to stigmatize it, you know, and come up with all this nonsense about classic and romantic pool and all this, tell them to go back and play with a mace. Tell them to take the cue and turn it around like they did back in the 1800s, right? So back in the 1800s, they played like this. Tell them to go play like that, okay? If they really want to play pool or play billiards in the classic style, tell them no chalk, just play like this. Okay? See how far they get with it. Tell them to bet money on it. See how much they really like it. Because the truth is, pool has evolved into what it is now because of constant innovation, constant rule change, constant equipment changes, constant discovery, you know, about how to play the game, about the physics of the game, everything about it. So we are where we are because lots of good people have spent a lot of time figuring out better ways to play and also how to build better equipment. That's all the jump cue is. It's a cue that's engineered to help the player jump the ball, but it itself does not take the shot. Just remember that. So that's my rant for tonight. I'm sorry it took so long, but if you stuck with me this long, then I hope that you'll become a fan of the jump cue as well. Take care. Bye-bye.